Let's start with the functions first. And in order for us to write a function, we need to consider four main things. The first thing is the return type of the function. Return type of the function. And what this means is what this function is designed to do. What this function is designed to do. Why do we need this function? If this function is supposed to calculate the summation of two numbers, then the return type will be a number. Hence, it will be an integer, float, double, and so on. If the function is designed to greet a person, then the return type will be string of some sort, a sentence to greet a person. So it will be string. And then the name of the function, and this is self-explanatory really. And the third thing are the parameters of the function. And the parameters are the value the function needs, or the function is fed with, in order for the function to perform this calculation. If the function is supposed to calculate the sum, then the function needs two numbers to add together and then return the sum for me. So the parameters are the numbers. If the function is supposed to greet a person, then the function needs the name of the person, so the parameter is the name of that person, and so on and so forth. And the fourth and last thing is the body of the function, or the implementation part of the function. Alright, let's take a simple function to calculate the sum of two numbers. And let's, hypothetically speaking, assume that the numbers are of double type. So the return type will be double. And then the name of the function. And in order for us to name this function, we need to use, or we don't really need, but it's more of a structured way to do it. We need to type the name of the function in a Pascal case, and this is a naming convention, the Pascal case, which starts each word with an uppercase followed by lowercase letters. So sum starts with an uppercase followed by lowercase letters, and then function starts with an uppercase followed by lowercase letters. And it's a way to structure our code. It's a way to organize our code, to make it more readable. Now, when we see some function, we know this is a function, right? Now there's another way, another naming convention to name stuff like the data types in the classes, like we're gonna see later on, which sometimes starts with a camel case, and the camel case starts with a lowercase word, and then each followed word will start with an uppercase letter. But we're gonna stick with a Pascal case. And then the parameters, which are the two numbers now, number 1, and I'm just going to give it a hypothetical value, default value of 0, then comma, then number 2 equals default value of 0. And what this default values mean is that if the function doesn't receive any values, it doesn't throw an error. It just uses the default values. If I pass to the function 1 and 2, then the function is going to perform what's in between the two brackets. If I don't pass any values, then the function will use the default values 0 and 0. Okay, then the sum, and this equals number 1 plus number 2, and then return sum. Okay, Control K, Control D to format, and then in order for us to use this function, we just type the name of the function, pass the values, let's assume 10, 12, save this in a variable called summation, for example, and then print out this variable. And notice that I'm using a meaningful name for the variable, and that is what we should do. This is the best practice of the code. We shouldn't be using x, y, and z. We should be using summation, sum function, number 1 and number 2 because we don't have like any numbers, but assume that they are marks, so there will be like the mathematics mark and the science mark, for example. Science mark. So they should be meaningful to the developer and to the application, so if we need to track them, we can track them easily. I'm just gonna change the names. Okay, and now F5 to start with debugging. Alright, and here you go, 22. Alright, now how this function works, let me introduce you to a trick that we use more often as programmers, which is the breakpoint and the debugging. In order for us to set a breakpoint, we go to this strap, the small empty strap here, and we set a breakpoint at any line of our choice. I'm just going to set a breakpoint here at the return, and I'm going to start the application. Okay, and it will show me 3 main windows: autos, local, and watch, and you can get them from debug, windows, and then you can fetch them from here: watch, auto, locals, in case you close them. And what this will show you is the steps of the application. If you set like a breakpoint in here, let's assume. Oh, I should start the application again, perhaps. Okay. And now you can trace it step by step. First of all, this summation is 0. Okay. And this summation will send a call to the sum function. We'll call the sum function. So the next step, if I pressed F10 or just basically pressed on this button, it will go to the sum function, but since I don't have any breakpoints, it will go immediately here. But what this will do is it will declare 2 variables, math mark 1 and science mark mark, and the math mark is 10 and the science mark is 12, and then the sum will equal this plus this. And you can go to one of these screens and you can see the math, science, and the sum of both of them, and then the return type. And if you stepped over again, then you'll go to the console, you'll go to the summation back, and this summation will hold the value now, but not now. Once you step over it, you see, now it's 22. And now the console.writeLine will write the summation, and that will show us the result, which is 22. Right, now let's take a more kind of a different type of function, a function that will return a string, let's say, greeting function. And what this function is going to return is a string, then greeting function, and it will take the name of a person, person name, and then it will return a string, greeting, hello, and then person name, and then return greeting. And here let me first declare a name equals John, and then console.writeLine. Maybe we can just use the function immediately, like a greeting function, and then the name, which is John. Hello, John. Okay, let's trace the function using the same method. Set breakpoints here, here, and here too. Okay, and then start the application. And the first thing is the name equals null because we still didn't perform this line. Step over. Then the name equals John. Then go call this method because it's inside the console.write line. And it will call this. Now the person's name is passed, John, from here to here. From this, I mean the parameter to this function. And then greeting will take the value of hello John, and it will return the greeting, and it will print out the greeting like we can see in front of us.